You're now listening to the Wednesday Night AAF Podcast.
Touchdown Hotshots.
Here are your hosts, the biggest Arizona Hotshots fans around, Nick and Logan.
Hey everybody, it's Nick here at the Wednesday Night AAF Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Stan Hansen. I cannot believe we are doing a second episode of this with almost 100 views in less than a week. That's a little less than 20 views a day, and we had a lot of interaction on social media with you all this past weekend during the Week 2 games. I could not be more excited. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight, so let's get things started. I'm joined tonight, obviously, by my compadre and co-host of this glorious podcast, Mr. Logan. How's it going? And what kind of feedback do you get from last week's episode?
I'm your host, Logan Streetfield, and a co-host, Logan Streetfield, and Logan Woodside has just thrown a pick six to Keith Reeser, and the Orlando Apollos have came from behind and beat the San Antonio Commanders. What a game! Feedback has been great on the show. We got close to 100 views on the first week. Only issue we had really was we had some technical issues where if you were listening to with headphones, you would come out like the left side and I would come out the right side. We have fixed that. We are ready to roll, ready to get this podcast recorded.
We also have a guest tonight, the man of the hour, Mr. Matt Black. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well, guys. I am so sick of the NFL, and I think the AAF is a breath of fresh air, and I'm happy to be on the show with you guys this week and talk about it.
So the biggest news coming out of Week 2 is, of course, the news that broke from The Atlantic late Monday night that the AAF was in serious trouble and could not make payroll. They needed a generous $250 million investment from the Carolina Hurricanes of the NHL CEO Tom Dundon, who is now chairman and majority owner of the AAF. We, of course, are getting contradicting reports from the league stating that it was in the making for a while, the deal, and they had a payroll snafu. This makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, to me at least, since they could not have realized their error on Friday and then were not able to do anything about it with Monday being a bank holiday. Multiple Arizona Hotshots personnel were quoted as saying they were in fact paid and were very happy to be getting a paycheck. Matt, as man of the hour, we start with you. Buy or sell?
Man, I have to sell this because honestly, if this was a situation that they didn't need that cash flow, why didn't they just make this deal before the AAF started? And now the fact that the guy's a majority owner of the league, less than 3 weeks in, normally when there's smoke, there's fire. There's something going on there. I'm definitely going to sell this. I feel like there's more than meets the eye here.
Yeah, no, and I can see that. And also, Steve Spurrier came out today and said that they actually had an initial investor, and he bailed. And that was part of the reason why they needed Tom Dundon to step in.
Well, thank God for Tom Dundon, or this league would have been in some serious trouble really quick.
And we wouldn't be having this podcast.
Yeah, that would be really bad. We'd be waiting for the XFL next year.
Oh, God. Logan, your thoughts, buy or sell?
I'm gonna sell it. It doesn't make sense. They have the big deal with CBS. I just don't see how it just doesn't add up. I mean, does anybody else feel like that? I mean, you're just telling me that all of a sudden they needed $250 million? I mean, I believe more along the lines of what Steve Spurrier said today, that maybe the investor backed out or something like that. That may have been the case. Most of all, what I take out of this is that living in North Carolina, we're probably going to get a team now. And that's the most exciting news to me.
Yeah, that is a very good theory. And, of course, coming from a corporate background, a way of thinking, and I kind of buy what Charlie Ebersol is saying, just based on the fact that payroll, it's very delicate, and it's possible they messed up going into Friday. They weren't able to do anything about it since Monday was President's Day. And so they weren't able to get everyone paid until Tuesday. But everything I've read has stated that they have gotten paid. They were paid beforehand, before the snafu, or at least what the Atlantic says. And actually what's funny is that Arizona Hotshots coach Rick Neuheisel said that this was just a gigantic conspiracy by the XFL to make the AAF look bad.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time Vince McMahon tried to sabotage another company,
Yeah.
especially any company that is his competition. So look, that's not much of a stretch. I mean, that could absolutely be possible. But if their initial financing backer backed out,
Right.
and that's accurate, then maybe all his money that they were going to pay these guys with is accurate too, and it was gone.
Right.
So they were desperate to find this new guy to throw, $250 million into this league, and gave him a majority ownership of the entire league.
Right.
To me, that says they were desperate to get something done, because they gave up a lot of power, essentially, in order to make this work. I just feel like this is something they could have done months ago. They could have brought this guy in then, but, at the same token, better late than never. I'd have been very disappointed to find out after 2 weekends of enjoyable football, the AAF was going to be dead just because their players couldn't get paid.
Right.
I mean, if Impact can survive for years on end not paying their talent,
Yeah.
I think the AAF should be able to survive at least an entire season.
Right. And as devil's advocate, as I usually am,
Not you.
yeah.
You're gonna get blocked on Twitter now.
Is it possible that the CEO of the Hurricanes wanted to see how well they did after a week of football before he committed?
Well, that's definitely understandable. If he was cautious, he wanted to see the product. But then at that point, what happened to the other guy? You trying to tell me this other investor saw your first 2 weeks of product and decided to bail on you? To me, that's head scratching, because if you go back and watch the first week of XFL football and you wanted to bail as an investor, I completely get it. But the first weekend of AAF football was amazing, and it made me actually fall in love with the sport again, because I definitely fell in love with it due to the politics and BS and money and all the garbage going on in the NFL right now. I really don't understand why an initial investor would see what this league could be and what it already is and decide to back out.
It's happened, and I'm glad
What's done is done.
Yeah, I'm glad we're moving on, and the fact that the league can operate as normal. And I've seen something about how we'll be good for football for the next 3 years. Hopefully the NFL will step in by then, and will officially, the AAF, not me,
Be the feeder system.
will be the
not
feeder
actually,
system.
Yeah,
Exactly.
not mess with the rules or anything. Like, leave it the way it is. But I'm okay if they want to fund it or something.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact that the AAF is already airing games on the NFL Network is a phenomenal head start in that direction.
Oh, I
Yeah, and
agree.
And that's another reason I'm selling, because it wouldn't make sense for the NFL Network to buy into it if there was no investor or any type of money there.
I've read something about how the AAF is not getting paid for these games airing on the NFL Network.
Oh, wow.
Or
Well, that wouldn't be surprising either, because if you want to play ball with the NFL, no pun intended, you have to play by their rules, and maybe it's AAF's show of good faith to air games on the NFL Network for free,
yeah,
just to get eyeballs on the product.
right.
Because the money will come in time as long as the quality of the game is there.
Agreed.
And the fact that it's already airing on CBS and TNT, I would imagine they're getting money for those games. But it would not shock me to find out that they're not getting paid for the games that are airing on the NFL Network, which is why they can get away with broadcasting such games on AAF.com while they're airing there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say it is annoying as a Hot Shots fan that the game of the week, this coming week, week 3 of AAF football, is not on TV and is in fact on Bleacher Report Live, which I'm hoping is free. I was dabbling with it a little bit and saw that some things cost $3. $3
man.
is $3, but
Here come the illegal streams.
yeah,
That's what I would be using.
I want to watch the game.
Tell me you didn't just say that.
Especially for the podcast, and as a fan, and one of the biggest fans of all time.
Dude, you've been talking about the hot shots for months. I can attest to that. You've been talking about these hot shots, and I'm like, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
He was the first one I can remember even speaking of it. He got me on board a few months back, and I was like, that's going to be my team.
I
don't know nothing about him.
It took me till day one of the league to get me on board with DAF, but he finally did it. So, congratulations.
I was probably one of the few people to actually watch the QB draft.
You did. I didn't even watch it. You
I
kept
didn't
messaging
even know
me.
they had a draft.
Yeah. Late November, they had a draft on CBS Sports.
Which is probably when you probably started ranting about it on Twitter, and I was just like, what is he talking about? What is this AAF and this hot shots crap? I'm a believer now, brother. So you were definitely in on the ground floor.
Yeah. Logan, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I just remember I was somewhere and you just kept texting or messaging me about the draft, and you were like, Josh Jackson went number 1. And you like naming everybody, like all these like former big time college players like Zach Mettenberger and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, I hadn't heard these names in years.
But they've been playing great. I mean, Mettenberger probably won't play because Mike Singletary is stuck in his ways with Hackenberg.
I guess we'll get to that later
Yeah.
though, so we don't.
But Josh Jackson, for those that don't know, never actually played a snap in AAF football. He was the first pick in the draft, and he is now the starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins.
Wow.
And won a few games at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He actually had a game-winning drive in one of the games.
Yeah.
And he almost took him to the playoffs.
Right. Playoffs!
He's not going to be the starter when Alex Smith comes back, though, is he?
I don't. Well,
Alex Smith's probably not going to come back.
Yeah, they said
He's done.
Yeah,
he got he got an infection after the broken legs. That set him back. So
I cut off all NFL football in like early December. I didn't watch anything up until the Super Bowl. Like I was like 2 months of NFL blackout because I was so sick of the garbage of the league, and I'd had enough. So yeah, I had no idea that it was that serious. I just figured he'd be back next season.
Now I don't know if he'll be the starter. They may go after a rookie or go after somebody in free agency. I guess it's just a wait and see thing.
Just start with Josh Jackson. That's all you have to do.
Nick has so much faith in Josh Jackson.
Yeah. So moving on, we just do a short blurb about this since it's not very important, but it's still a little significant. The state of Florida, they have an exclusion of professional athletes from receiving workers' compensation insurance coverage, which is forcing the Orlando Apollos to start practicing in Georgia at the beginning of March. Alliance of American Football officials told the Orlando Sentinel. Basically, the Apollo players will be housed in a hotel in Jacksonville for a little more than a month while busing 30 minutes over the border to Georgia, not Mexico, to practice at a high school in Kingsland, Georgia. They will still play their home games in Orlando at UCF's Spectrum Stadium. I read something about how they will have to bus from Jacksonville to Orlando, which I've read online, and I did a little bit of research. It's about a good hour and a half, 2 hours. That's
could be
a lot.
worse.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's a nice bus. Yeah, you just got an influx of $250 million. Get these guys a nice bus.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Right. So we'll go ahead and move on to recap of week 2.
Can I mention my conspiracy theory about this Orlando and Georgia thing real quick?
Sorry, I meant to ask you guys your thoughts on it before.
So Steve Spurrier, in the 90s, he coached at the University of Florida Gators, and they're big-time rivals with the Georgia Bulldogs. During his media interviews, he would always take digs at them or insults, like just randomly, even if they were playing like freaking like, I don't know, like Louisiana Tech University or something. Like he would still find ways to get digs at Georgia. So what if he's going to Georgia to rub it in their face and be like, I'm still here?
Well, I'm surprised Steve Spurrier hasn't had a heart attack yet. On the field. He's getting up there in age.
But
He's a passionate guy, Nick.
Yeah.
because he hates the state of Georgia so much, I wonder how good he felt like when they beat the Atlanta Legends the other week. That might be why they ran the score up late in the game, because he absolutely hates the state of Georgia.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Just a bitter old man.
Yeah. So, starting off with week 2, we had the Salt Lake Stallions versus Birmingham Iron. I wasn't able to watch the game. I saw highlights and watched the end of the game. And the kicker killed the Stallions. For the Stallions.
I don't...
he missed 3 field goals in the
yeah,
second
he missed
half.
3, and some of them were chip shots.
Yeah, he was 1 of 4, yeah.
It was bad.
And
the Stallions choked that game away.
Oh, absolutely. And they got a long of 53, but couldn't get anything else. They choked the game. They were up 9-0 going into the second half.
Yep.
And did not score another point. Buaganan? Can't pronounce his name. Am I pronouncing it right, guys?
Bognan, I think they were saying it, or Bognan.
Yeah,
I will
I think
edit
that was it.
Sounds like a Star Trek character.
Yeah. Running back for the Stallions, the second quarter scored their first points.
Here's my issue with the Stallions is they took the ball completely out of his hands, or even the running game. They stopped running in the fourth quarter. They couldn't stop their run attack. I mean, they just got pass happy, and obviously it didn't work because Austin Allen's 15 for 31 with 114 yards and 3.7 yards per attempt. Like, he didn't play very well.
Yeah.
A big turning point in the game was in the second quarter down in the goal line. Matt Asiata fumbled at like the 10-yard line. I mean, that could have changed the game significantly if they would have just settled for a field goal there, which hell, he probably would have missed it from the 10-yard line.
Right. Well, certainly didn't help that their punt returner fumbled the ball and recovered by Birmingham for a touchdown. And then Trent Richardson, in all his glory, got a 2-yard touchdown.
Let's not forget about the refs actually helping Birmingham either on this game.
Agreed. Absolutely.
That
got that fumble. I'm pretty sure that dude's knee was down.
Yeah, the Sky Judge got it wrong.
Yeah.
Sky Judge giveth, Sky just take it away.
Like, even like AAF Twitter was like, what's he looking at?
To me, I thought it was clear as day that the knee was down.
I'll say it was close, but his knee was down.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, what's interesting is that Perez didn't play that good of a game.
No. He did what he had. He played well in the fourth quarter, but up until then, he struggled.
Yeah.
I feel like Birmingham's the luckiest 2-0 team in the league.
Are they
for
starting
sure.
to look like the Patriots of the AAF?
No, because the Patriots are actually fundamentally good.
Yeah.
I think Birmingham is a facade 2-0, and I think they will unravel before the season's over.
Did you guys see where they did the fake punt, and and the guy ended up breaking his leg because they did the fake punt?
No.
I did not see that.
It was early in the first half. They ran a fake punt.
Yeah, can you go a little bit more into detail of that?
Well, it was. Let me see here. I'm looking at the game summary. It was 4th and 2. They were at their own 44-yard line. It looks like, and there was 5 minutes and 49 seconds left in the second quarter. They ran a fake punt. And the guy falls, I don't know, maybe a yard and a half short of the first down line. And he just breaks his leg on a play that they shouldn't even have ran a fake punt. They should have just punted the ball away. You kind of feel bad for that guy. I mean, that's just. I mean, if it's 4th and 2, I mean, you can run a fake punt, but I mean, the way they did it, it was just like it was just like one of those obvious fake punts. Like everybody saw it coming.
So, most obvious question coming out of that game: do the Stallions get rid of their kicker, Bertolli?
Oh, the fact that he's still employed blows my mind.
Here's the weird thing about it is that it's a developmental league, so I don't know how you go about that. Like, it's weird.
There's plenty of kickers out there that they could bring in to try out and get them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, there's no way the Stallions should have lost that game, and they lost that game because of their kicker. Seriously, he shouldn't have a job right now. And you look at certain players in the AAF, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why they're not in the NFL. Well, this guy very much showed the world why he was not ready for the NFL on Saturday.
Right.
Does anybody else feel the Stallions are a quarterback away from being one of the best teams in the league?
No, let's not talk about this.
I think the Stallions are the best 0-2 team in the league.
I will be there, but we can't have them beat the Hot Shots in week 3.
I'll let you know where they're at.
Can't play the.
I got Salt Lake rated pretty good for my power rankings for being 0-2.
Yeah,
I think you guys should be very happy the Stallions didn't fire their kicker because they're going to bring that kicker into the game against the Hot Shots this weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to be a tough game. Salt Lake's going to be fired up for their first home game ever.
Yeah.
Well, they're in a must-win situation.
Yeah, you can't go.
They can't go 0-3.
Right.
Not in a 10 game season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to who the Stallions will be playing in week 3, the Arizona Hot Shots faced the Memphis Express in a game that I was sinking in my couch for the first 2 quarters as a Hot Shots fan. Very abysmal play by the Hot Shots. Wolford had 2 interceptions, 3 turnovers overall, 1 fumble, and every time they turned over the ball, Memphis was able to score. And they didn't get anything together until the third quarter when they were able to stop Memphis from scoring, which I don't know how you are not able to stop Hackenberg from doing anything. He had a rushing touchdown. Like, how does that happen?
One of the best things Hackenberg is able to do is scramble.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's not that good of a quarterback. And I had some people try to contend with me with that on Twitter this week.
Oh my!
In one of the Twitter guys, I will give them credit. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry, but he actually went and looked at Hackenberg's stats for Penn State and said, "Never mind, I'm shutting up. I see what you're talking about." Because all these people that want to say that think he's a good quarterback, you didn't watch his career at Penn State. I've been watching Penn State football for the last 30 plus years. This guy's not good. He's not a good quarterback. And the fact that the Jets took him in the second round of the NFL draft absolutely blew my mind.
Well, it is the Jets.
And the Jets quickly found out what I already knew, that he's trash. And now he's in the AAF, and he's also trash. And he's essentially holding back. He's holding back the entire Memphis Express team.
Oh, yeah. Did you see how bad it got and how he was talking back to the coaches? And almost got him benched.
Total diva. He's a total diva, man. He should have been benched. But if he would have been benched, I think the Hot Shots would have lost that game.
It's possible. And
it's very possible.
Matt, as a fellow Steelers fan, would you say that the defense reminds you a lot of the Steelers?
I think that the team in the league that's defense that most reminds me of the Steelers right now is the Commanders. The Hot Shots have flashes of it, but I see more of it out of San Antonio than I do Arizona. But I like Arizona's overall game better.
But more so, the way that the Hot Shots blew some plays to the Express, and they weren't able to tackle Hackenberg. Reminded me.
I don't really think it's any different than what San Antonio did at the end of the Orlando game.
Right, but what I'm saying though is just as an observation, as a Steelers fan, I felt like I was watching the most recent version of the Steelers defense, and that made me very sad. Because of how bad we could be sometimes. We'll have games like the Panthers game this year, and then other times we'll play very badly.
Yeah.
Like we did against the Ravens in 2015 when Mallet was starting. And somehow, some way, we completely choked that game and gave it away.
All right, I see what you mean by comparing the Hot Shots defense to the current Steelers defense.
Yes.
What I was referring to, with the Commanders is they look like the way when the Steelers defense is really good.
Yes.
The San Antonio Commanders in the first 2 weeks were kind of reminding me of what it was like to watch good Steeler defense.
Right.
Until the end of the game when they choked against Orlando this weekend. But we're going to be talking about that in a moment.
Right.
But yeah, I would definitely say there's a lot of similarities between the current Steelers defense and the Arizona Hotshots defense, but hopefully it won't end up biting them in the ass long term.
Right. I absolutely agree. The Stallions next week make me super nervous. They have a phenomenal defense. And going back to this game against the Express, Wolford, he can't throw the ball if he's still in the pocket because he's shorter than the defensive backs, and he will be intercepted or they will tip it at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and let's face it, he doesn't have the accuracy of like a Drew Brees or a Russell Wilson, who is about the same height.
Right.
True.
I agree. But the better play that they had in the second half, they scored 6 points in the third quarter, 14 points in the fourth quarter, which led them to a 2018 victory. And the flashes of brilliance they showed, like the pass to Ross for a 16-yard touchdown, Stockton up the middle for 45 yards touchdown, and then a Wolford pass to Cook for 4 yards. They definitely played great in the fourth quarter and got those points. I was really scared of the Express defense, especially after the first couple drives. It was like, wow, they're not as bad as they looked in the first week against the Iron.
Yeah, they're certainly not bad. I mean, if there's one good thing you could say about Arizona is that their coaching staff had some great second half adjustments for that Express team.
Right.
It clearly the Express their biggest problem in week one is they were having a lot of trouble stopping the run.
Yeah.
I tell you,
but Hot Shots were like they were trying to whale that ball around at the beginning of the game, and it really bit them in the ass early.
Right.
I tell you what, Express, the running back Zach Stacy looks great.
Yeah, I would agree.
19 carries, 101 yards, 5.3 yards a carry. He nearly carried them to victory.
Yep. Well, I said if Sackenberg wasn't back there, they probably would have won.
And we'll go over power rankings later, but Express, they're not last. I've got kind of some hot takes on my power rankings this week.
Yeah. Moving on to what was the game of the week. The Orlando Apollos beating the San Antonio Commanders. What I would say not only was the best game this past week, but was the best game of AAF football that they've had completely in the 2 weeks of existence.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed it. I was at a dinner, but I followed the highlight or watched the highlights after. It looked like an incredible game.
I would say it was phenomenal. Definitely back and forth. San Antonio had Orlando on the ropes early, 12-0 first quarter. Then Orlando came back 17-6 in comparison in the second quarter. And then it was, to me, it was downhill from the Commanders when they decided to put in their second string, Marquise Williams from UNC.
Really bad call.
I agree. I think it messed up the chemistry a little bit.
Yeah, I think it screwed up their rhythm of the entire game.
Why? Excuse me. Why did this happen? I mean, I didn't get to see the game, but did they say why or?
They claimed that it was the coach's decision going into the game that both quarterbacks were so good that he just had to play both of them.
Right.
But I don't really feel like when one's really hot that you take him and you sit him down and you put the other guy in.
No.
On alternating drives. I thought it was really stupid. And it really could have been the difference maker in this game overall.
And that reminds me of the NFC Championship this year. I'm going to keep it short, but the New Orleans Saints would get down to the goal line. They'll get down to the 5 or the 3 yard line, and they would bring in Taysom Hill to do like these cute little quarterback stuff and take the ball out of Drew Brees' hands. I feel like that's a pretty good comparison of what it sounds like what they did. Like, why take the ball out of your best player there?
Yeah. And I would say that what sealed the deal for Orlando was the interception.
Pick six,
yes.
Yeah. They never had a shot after that, did they? I mean, it just felt like all the momentum just shifted on that one play. Even though there were 7 minutes left, like from the highlights, it looked like there was just never anything after that. Like, they just like demoralized them.
I agree. 7 minutes left. They weren't able to score any points at all in the fourth quarter.
I got a good comparison for you for the San Antonio Commanders. They kind of remind me of this year's Chicago Bears.
Okay.
With that pass rush, and Woodside's kind of like Trubisky in a way, and Farrow's like their Tariq Cohen, and yeah, they kind of remind me of the Bears.
I can see a little bit.
I feel like they're more of an exciting team.
No,
than the Bears, but there's definitely similarities there for sure.
Defense wise, I think they're close to it. As far as offense, yeah, the Bears' offense isn't very exciting.
I've seen a lot of exciting plays in 2 weeks from San Antonio. I think they're definitely a team to watch. They might be 1-1, but I think they're one of the best teams in the league.
I think they're the biggest threat to the Hotshots in the West.
I would agree with that.
And I tell you what, they got the best home field advantage in the whole league. No stadium is louder than that dome. That is a cool setup. The Alamo Dome. Yeah, that's an awesome stadium.
So moving on to the last game of week 2, and it was a doozy.
I didn't see this one.
The one game I had to cover.
Yeah.
Was terrible.
Well,
terrible.
The worst game so far of the 2 weeks.
Yeah, Atlanta Legends versus San Diego Fleet. Fleet won 24-12 after a 15-point comeback by the Fleet in the fourth quarter. It looked early like it was going to be all Atlanta after scoring 9 points to nothing in the first quarter. Then San Diego came back in the second quarter, scored 6, scored 3 in the third quarter, and then 15 in the fourth.
I guess I'll cover it real quick since
Yeah.
neither one of you watched it. Basically, Atlanta jumped out to a 9-0 lead. Then the rain started to fall after the first quarter, and it just felt like after the rain started, the momentum shifted, and there was no chance Atlanta was going to win. Their offense isn't built for the rain. San Diego kind of has a more they have a better run attack to fit for the rain. As you could tell, Jaquan Gardner had 15 carries for 104 yards, which is 6.9 yards a carry, and had 2 TDs with a long run of 31 yards. And even their backup quarterback, Terrell Watson, was averaging 3.5 yards a carry. And their quarterback, he can scramble around a little bit. He had 4.7 yards a carry on scrambles, 6 for 28 yards. They were better built for the rain. Once that rain came, this game was just brutal to watch. There was 3 and outs. It just wasn't fun. I don't want to reveal my power rankings yet, but these guys are not up my list.
Yeah. I was watching the game in the background. I was mainly playing Minecraft. It wasn't a very exciting game. And what's interesting is that every single game of week 2 was a comeback.
It was. Here's my thing with Matt Sims as well. I don't think he's good at all. I feel like he's a notch above Christian Hackenberg, but it's not by much. He's a very safe quarterback. I mean, he doesn't really go for it. It just feels like I don't know. He's not very good. He's not fun to watch.
No, and I agree.
And on this No Extra Points website, it's kind of fun. If you click on their name, they kind of give like what their fantasy points would be. Like, so just for fun, here's Matt Sims' fantasy points. Like week 1, he would have had 5.9 points. This past week, he would have had only 10.5.
That's rough.
And while we're doing that, let me just run Lick and Christian Hackenberg's real quick while we're here.
He had a running touchdown, so it might be pretty high.
Oh, yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, it jumped him up to 14 points. He probably would have been around 6 or 7 if not. The first week,
if you took Hackenberg's rushing out of the equation, his points would have been abysmal.
He had 4 points in the first week.
Yeah.
That's more like it.
Right. So, moving on to week 3, first game Saturday at 3 p.m. on BR Live. It's the Arizona Hotshots versus Salt Lake Stallions, a rematch from week 1. This will be, to me, the game of the week. Very kabuki-ish of me. I think this will come down to if Wolford can repeat his performance in week 1 and can get the ball to Moss and ultimately just a repeat of week 1.
Keys, I think some big keys, or they're going to have to, excuse me, hang on a second. They're going to have to block better. This Salt Lake pass defense was really strong against Birmingham. Carter Schultz had 2 sacks, 6 tackles, had a heck of a game. Birmingham could not keep him out of the backfield. That's going to be a key, is keeping Wolford protected. This is going to be tough. It was tough the first time they played because they struggled early in the first half and kind of got going there towards the end of the first half. But I don't know. This is going to be, I think, the Hotshots' biggest test so far.
I would agree.
Despite already playing them once.
Yeah. And I don't really understand why they would do that. And they did the same thing with the Commanders versus the Fleet as well. Poor planning by the AAF.
I agree. These guys shouldn't be seeing each other in weeks 1 and week 3.
Right.
You have 10 weeks to space these games out.
Right.
It should have been 1 in the first half and 1 in the second half.
I agree.
Agreed.
I feel like the Hotshots and Stallions could easily become Steelers-Ravens-esque.
It's a fun rivalry. It would be a fun rivalry. I know you have talked some trash with some Stallions fans this year. I think that might be kind of our first kind of our rivalry in the league, like you said.
I would agree.
Well, if they go 0-3, is it really much of a rivalry?
Well,
And I really think long term, I think Arizona's main rivalry in the West is going to be the Commanders.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Salt Lake has nothing to lose this week, and it's going to be a dangerous game for Arizona. They need to be prepared. Both teams have a lot of, hands-on footage of them now from week 1. The teams are getting better progressively week for week. If I'm Arizona, don't let this be a trap game. You're going to have to come out, and you're going to have to hit them hard, and you're going to have to hit them often. Salt Lake's going to be desperate for a win in week 3 at home. It's a trap game. I mean, I know it's only week 3, but this has all the makings of a trap game for the Hot Shots in week 3.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if they lose. Would not surprise me.
Very Steelers-esque in their trap games, I would say the Hot Shots are.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Moving on to the Memphis Express versus Orlando Apollos, which you can see at 8 p.m. on Saturday on the NFL Network.
Did you want to go over our picks for Hot Shots? Did we all have Hot Shots, or anybody taking a Stallions pick? I'm going to say Hot Shots, but barely.
Yeah.
I'm talking another close one in the final minutes.
Yeah, I would go Hot Shots as well. And it'll probably be close. Matt?
I will go Hot Shots, but I will not be surprised if the Stallions pull the upset here. Like they got to get in the win column, and if they don't do it this week, man, it's all downhill here for them.
Yeah.
I guess if they lose, they would be watching that San Diego and San Antonio game closely because they would need the San Diego win bad.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be tough to catch San Antonio. I think they're the second, or maybe even the best team in the West. It's going to come down to them in Arizona.
Yeah. And then we have Memphis Express versus Orlando Apollos. I think the defense of the Express could give Gilbert trouble, like they did the Hot Shots. Obviously, Hackenberg has to rely on his defense a lot, and they have to put the ball within the 20-yard line for the Express to be able to score on offense. But ultimately, I think it's possible the Apollos blow out the Express.
Orlando looked good in their comeback last week. But Memphis seems scrappy, and they're not as bad as Reddit makes them sound.
Yeah.
They impressed me last week. I'm going to take Orlando. But I think it's going to be similar maybe to last week, where Memphis is going to play them tough.
I would agree.
I think it'll be closer than people think. But as long as Hackenberg's the quarterback, Orlando will win this game.
Yeah.
I got an interesting nugget on a quarterback they might use, but we'll save that for the mailbag because we have a question on that.
Okay. So we all go Apollos?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the safe pick.
Yeah. Then we have Birmingham Iron versus the Atlanta Legends at 4 p.m. on Sunday on CBS Sports Network, a channel that Matt Black did not know exists until week 1 of the AAF.
I am not looking forward to this game.
Oh, absolutely not.
This will probably be the worst game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Atlanta is unwatchable.
Logan, you're going to be covering this for Twitter.
Oh.
I already called dibs on Hot Shot Stallions and Commander's Fleet.
Well, at least you get Orlando and Memphis.
We'll work it out. I'm just playing.
Yeah, I'm cool with Orlando and Memphis. That's a good game.
Yeah.
Birmingham and Atlanta, man. Birmingham rolls.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate Alabama Crimson Tide, but I'll say roll Iron. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I am going against both of you.
Whoa!
And I believe in my heart that Birmingham is the facade 2-0 team in this league, and I think the Atlanta Legends get their first win this weekend against the Iron.
I like it.
And why? Why do you think that's going to happen, Matt?
Because I feel Birmingham got very lucky in week 2, and I feel the only reason they won in week 1 was because Memphis just wasn't truly prepared to play in that terrible stadium that Birmingham has set up.
Oh, man.
And I think Birmingham coming, all the way up to Atlanta, I think that talking trap games, I think Birmingham's going in cocky. I think they think Atlanta sucks. And I think Atlanta's going to upset them and win this game.
We got a good Birmingham following on Twitter. Please take it easy on Matt this week, guys.
Just saying, just calling it like I say.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah,
They are.
I agree as well.
They are not a good. I think they're.
Oh,
not
look, it's
as
great.
good
It's great to be 2-0, but sometimes you get really lucky, and I feel the Iron is a perfect example of a team that has been very lucky so far in the season.
And can we also talk about Trent Richardson? 2.5 yards a carry like each game.
He's great at the goal line, but that's about it.
Yeah.
If he could run between the red zones, Birmingham could be a force to be reckoned with. But he's not providing them with anything, where in the meat of the field. Yeah, he's getting in there and getting those touchdowns, but we got to see more out of Trent.
You know what I would do?
If they're gonna become the legitimate team that a lot of people want them to be.
Oh yeah, Luis Perez is great, but they have no run game to go with them. What I would do is I'd take a shot on that second string running back, have him be your main guy, and I'd use Trent Richardson and short down yardage situations. Yeah. I think that just makes sense. He doesn't provide much else. He did have some. He had like 70 yards in receptions last week, but that's because Luis Perez was checking down a lot to him.
Which that's not a bad strategy either. You got to figure out ways to use your stars. Yeah. And Trent Richardson may be one of the biggest stars in this league. They got to figure a way to get him utilized in the game more. I mean, he's great on the goal line, but you got to figure out more than that.
Yeah, and Perez is a very smart quarterback. He doesn't turn the ball over often. He's one of the better ones in the league so far.
If you can go back, or if you can go from being a professional bowler to being a professional quarterback,
by learning on YouTube.
Yeah, I would say Perez is very smart. So we'll go ahead and go forward and go to
another rematch.
Yes, with the Commanders of San Antonio versus the San Diego Fleet. Commanders have this no problem. I think Woodside's going to come in, get things done. Defense won't let the Fleet do anything, and it'll be a blowout by the Commanders, and they'll go 2-1.
I got the Commanders. I have nothing else to say. San Diego looked bad against Atlanta, even in a win.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Commanders are coming. The Commanders are going to come into this game angry. It was a closer game in Week 1, but I feel after they lost to Orlando in Week 2, they're going to come into this game angry. I think this is going to be the biggest margin of victory of Week 2.
I agree.
Gotcha. All right, so moving on to the power rankings for Week 2. How we do things here, Matt, is we basically just say, Matt, what's your number 8? And then we just go forth with that. So, Matt.
Fair enough.
As the man of the hour, what would you say your number 8 for power rankings is?
Ooh, probably, man. Just looking at all the teams right now. Not after this weekend, but right now I got to put the Atlanta Legends at number 8.
Okay. All right.
I did too.
Logan.
I think they're going to get a big win in Week 3, but I think they got to be 8 for now.
I agree. Logan, what's your number 7?
Hot take number 7.
Yeah.
The San Diego Fleet, despite having one win.
Yeah.
I
have no problem with that.
And I'll give you a reason why when you hear my number 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have put Salt Lake at 7.
So I will say the obvious number 6 is the Express, and I say that because of their defense and what they were able to do against the Hot Shots.
Yeah, and that's why I had my number 6 Memphis. is because I just thought they looked overall better this past week. And it may just be biased because I had to cover that awful San Diego and Atlanta game, but Memphis looked good for the first half.
Yeah.
They darn near beat the top team in the league, or at least top 2 or 3 teams in the league. However you feel about the Hot Shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have the Fleet at 6.
So, Matt, what would you say your number 5 would be then?
I'd probably put Memphis at 5.
But with the field currently as is, what would you say your number 5 is?
Ooh, taking it out. I guess Salt Lake.
Okay, I would say
That
that's
was-
fair.
That was my real number 5 in mind.
Because I would have had them at 7, but I mean, if you guys are putting those other ones in front of them, I feel like we can't put them up any higher.
But I would say they're the best 0-2 team, and I would say they're better.
And I'm not
than
arguing
the
with that.
Fleet at 1-1.
They're a bad call away from beating Birmingham last week and
No,
another
you're
kicker
right.
away.
You're right.
Because the team played good.
I have a really hard time putting a no-win team in 5th place.
It's understandable.
That's why only that kind of like a little bit.
I understand. I'm just going off what I seen eye test wise.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. What's funny is that PFF actually had Birmingham at number 5 and had the Stallions at number 4.
Wow.
Somebody had a power rankings where the Stallions were last. I don't know who I was reading, but I'm like, dang, that bad, guys.
Ouch. No. If you were watching the games, you know that they're not last.
Yeah.
No, they should be 1-1 right now.
Right.
They're the unluckiest 0-2 team in the league right now.
They got screwed by the refs. Kicker couldn't make field goals. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So, Logan, what would you put as your number 4?
Okay, this works out perfect because on my real power rankings that I wrote down here, Birmingham is my number 4.
Okay.
Overrated.
I agree. I would say they are the worst 2-0 team of the AAF currently. And I will say my number 3.
Do the right thing.
It's the Commanders.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I had. Yes.
I agree.
And now number 2 and number 1 is going to be interesting here.
Yeah. Matt, back to you.
It's all in your hands.
Who you got as number 2?
Boy. Oh, boy.
Orlando beat a very good San Antonio
I know.
team. Arizona beat a Memphis team we're not sure on.
You know what? I got to put the Hot Shots at 2.
I can respect that.
fair.
Just because they had such fits against Hackenberg and company, they still got the win, but it was close and it was last minute. Orlando really made a statement in the fourth quarter. This
on the
week with
road.
San Antonio, yeah,
And the Alamo Dome.
yeah, I gotta go. Hot Shots at 2 this week.
Which is fair. With the first half of play that they had, Hot Shots don't deserve the number 1 this week.
They're reversible. On my power rankings that I did myself, I had Orlando 2 or Arizona 1, but I fought with it.
Yeah.
It was not easy. I mean, I feel like you can flip a coin and you'd be either one would be fine.
I think this will ultimately be the championship game between
I think so too.
Hot Shots and Apollos.
Barring any injuries, that's probably right.
And the fact that Hot Shots have to get past the Commanders essentially 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that first game when that happens.
Yeah. And without further ado, it's now time for the Wednesday night mailbag. Give me some questions. Jake from Imager asks, who do you think can be an upgrade over Christian Hackenberg? Do you think it will be Silvers, Mettenberger, or our new acquisition, Kevin Burke?
And before we jump into it, I did some research on Kevin Burke because I've never heard of this guy in my life. First thing I did was type Kevin Burke into Google, and I found out there's a Kevin Burke that's a fiddler with a Wikipedia. So I said, maybe I should type football. So anyway, we're digging into some research on this guy. I found out he played Division III football at Mount Union Purple Raiders. He led them to 3 national title games in the Division III, winning the 2012 national title, but losing the 2013-2014 title. He won the Gagliardi Trophy. It's like, I probably said that all wrong. I'm sorry. Somebody's probably going to correct me on Twitter. But this is like their Heisman Trophy, and he won it twice in 2013 and 2014. He was the first junior winner and first-time two-time winner of this award. He won the gold medal in like the World Cup of like
gold freaking medal with a broken neck.
Gold freaking medal for the for the World Football Championships.
Oh, it's real. It's damn real.
We beat 7 other countries and won the gold medal in 2015. He plays professional football in Austria. I didn't know they had football leagues in Austria. Like, that's not soccer, like legit football. He plays for the AFC Vienna Vikings. He's 25 years old. He has a good resume from Division III football. Why not give him or one of these other guys a shot?
At the end of the day, anybody's better than Hackenberg. Try them all.
Yeah. And here's my question is, why is Mettenberg in the AAF? I thought he was a tremendous backup in the league, in the NFL. I didn't think he was that bad.
I'll leave that to Matt.
I'm honestly not sure. I'm not sure.
I mean, you guys probably didn't get to see enough of him. Because Ben,
I didn't see a lot of them.
Ben, he'll fight through all kinds of injuries. So, I mean, but I looked up, did some extra research on Mettenberg, and he before he went to Pittsburgh, he backed up in Tennessee for a few years, and his stats looked fine. I don't know, maybe there's more to it.
I would definitely try him over Hackenberg.
Absolutely, with
for sure.
The way that Hackenberg has been and acted for the past 2 weeks. Certainly Silver's Mettenberger or Austria's favorite, Kevin Burke, can be an upgrade over Hackenberg. Moving on, AM2 Cood asks, is home field advantage much more of a factor in the AAF as it is in the NFL, or is it home field advantage about the same for the AAF and NFL?
I did some research for this as well. Through the first 2 weeks, home teams have won 6 out of the 8 games. I think it does matter. The only losses was 2 thrillers. The Hotshots won at Memphis in a close game, and the Apollos beat the Commanders in a close game. There's been no road teams going in there and dominating.
Yeah. I would definitely say that home field advantage plays much more of a factor in the AAF.
And I know we all watched the first game, San Antonio and San Diego. And when San Diego had to play in the Alamo Dome, that place was electric. I mean, that was pretty cool to watch for a feeder league to the NFL. It was cool to see all those fans come out and support them.
Yeah.
And get loud. That's awesome. Unlike when I watched the San Diego Fleet on Sunday and there was no crowd participation whatsoever. Yeah, I'm crapping on you, San Diego.
It felt like Corpus Christi at a WWE event. Or Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette.
Maybe that's why you lost to Chargers, because you don't care.
Ouch.
Oh, man.
Ouch. Well, it's clear San Antonio is really happy to have a football team.
Yeah.
So now I will say their Reddit presence is a little bit better. We don't have many followers on Twitter, though. I don't know how many is actually out there. Our biggest following on Twitter seems to be Salt Lake, Arizona, Birmingham. Can you think of any others, Nick, that we have?
No, I would say that's the best.
That's our tops.
Yeah. You got to think there's going to be some Apollo bandwagon jumpers soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they win in week 3.
All hail Steve Spurrier.
If he doesn't have a heart attack, he's going to be a martyr if he does.
Did you see over the weekend, like, he threw his pen down, like, as hard as he could, then, like, 2 seconds later, he just picked it up casually?
I would say that him being mic'd up is probably one of the most entertaining parts of AAF football.
Oh, yeah, and I love, like, every, like, 3 seconds you'll hear a player, like, drop an F-bomb.
I would agree. Moving on. Martel1234 asks, who would win in a fist fight, Vince McMahon or Tom Dundon?
Wow.
Tom Dundon's going to have, NHL, they actually get into fights and stuff. He may be able to get with some of these hockey players and learn how to punch. But Vince, man, I don't know. He's crazy.
Yeah. Does Dundon have the grapefruits?
Man, it would be a good one. I'd pay for it. Is Vince going to blow out his quads?
Oh, man.
Moving on, Titome345, a big fan of ours, asks, what are the tiebreakers in the AAF for playoff seeding? Me and Logan talked about this earlier, and I would just have to say, I did a little bit of research, wasn't able to find anything, but I would assume that, like every other professional sports league in America today, it's based off the same scenarios.
Head-to-head, the conference record or something like that.
Right, and there's only 8 teams, and 2 teams from each conference, West and East, go to the playoffs. So I would assume it's the same.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see too many ties in the first year until we get expansion.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the best teams are kind of already starting to pace themselves from the field.
Right. I agree, which leads us to our next question. XXBullEyeXX asks, which cities are the best fit for future AAF expansion? I will answer this first. Richmond, Virginia.
I say a lot of the college cities, like they did with Birmingham, like around places where you're not going to get NFL, like Greensboro, Raleigh, stuff like that. Maybe out in, like, I don't know, maybe St. Louis. That'd be a good city.
Yeah, I was seeing some concept art for St. Louis, what they're calling the St. Louis Rampage.
That'd be cool.
I don't know how accurate that is, but
what about like Midwest, like Portland, stuff like that?
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, Montana. I know you laugh, but like Montana and South Dakota, North Dakota, they have really good college followings, like in Division II football and stuff. I think they could attract that college audience to come out to the games.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'd be all for it.
Absolutely, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Baltimore, DC. Maybe DC can finally have a football team.
I just wonder are they going to go the exact opposite route of the XFL and not touch the same cities?
I would imagine you don't want to touch the same cities the XFL is going to be in.
I think we'll end up having a merger of the XFL and AAF.
I can see it, especially if they're going different cities at some point. What I would think would be cool is if they ran XFL and they ran AAF, like one ran Saturday, one ran Sunday, and then they eventually have like a big championship between each other.
Actually, I would love that. I mean,
that would be really cool.
Back to the old days of the NFL back in the day.
Welcome to the XFL.
The NFL and the AFL. I mean, I think
that would be really cool.
Yeah,
I think that would be money making too. Vince should jump onto that.
Moving on, I apologize for possibly getting this wrong, but Mr. Ubuto22 asks, how the hell did they almost go broke before week 3?
That's a great question.
They didn't use enough pronouns.
I feel like we tried to cover this at the beginning of the show, though.
Yeah, I don't really want to I hate to, not answer his question, but I felt we went over a good enough bit there to...
I would agree.
Just the biggest reason is they're not using enough pronouns, pal.
Yep. The Darnold asks, are you going to talk about how Vince McMahon is colluding with Glad Hands Goodell and the rest of the NFL deep throw state to keep Slackenberg employed. And trust me, folks, this has a lot to do with MTJGA, which I found out stands for Make the Jets Great Again.
What the hell? Wow. That's a great conspiracy theory.
Well, Singateri's stupid enough to do it, so.
I don't think Vince is working with Goodell. I think he wants to compete with him, as crazy as Vince is.
Yeah. So our last question tonight, Dilemma 1 asks, are coaches trying too hard to emulate NFL offenses?
I don't think so. I think
I don't think so either.
I think they're close to more of a college spread type offense where they're passing the ball a lot more.
I would say the example that comes to mind when I read this question was the Orlando special in week 1. When Gilbert caught a touchdown against the Legends. That's the only thing that comes to mind for me.
But there's like there's trick plays everywhere though. I mean, yeah. I know if they ran the Philly special in the Super Bowl, but that play's been done before. It just happened on the big stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same token, you have to remember, I mean, this league has a clause in their contract that if these guys get signed by the NFL, that they will release them and let them go to the NFL. So I think it's in their best interest to be running, NFL-like offenses and NFL-like defenses to prepare these guys for the NFL if they were to get signed and moved up.
Yeah.
I agree. Closing remarks. I would say this was a great week of football, and I would say this. I had a great conversation with you too. I'm looking forward to week 3.
Yeah, we'd like to have you on again, Matt. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I love the league. I love your show. I love both of you guys. Yeah, if you ever needed a guest in the future, I'd be happy to come on and talk some AAF with y'all.
Do you have anything, Logan or Matt?
I'm just looking forward to another great week.
I think a lot of Birmingham Iron fans are going to be upset with me this weekend.
Do you want to plug your Twitter or your podcast that you run yourself?
I am a co-host of Lost in the Mid Card podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and wherever you can hear podcasts on Android or what have you. It's a pro wrestling podcast. We talk about WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan. We talk about it all, and it's crazy, off the rails hilarity sometimes, and it's just a good listen. If you like wrestling, definitely give it a listen. We normally come out on Wednesdays, every week on the iTunes and Spotify machines.
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's Wednesday, my dudes. So speaking of Spotify and iTunes, I would like to announce, if you guys haven't already seen on Twitter, that we are on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and hopefully soon Google Podcasts. I would say
you can listen. No, go ahead. Sorry,
no, it's okay.
I got excited.
I would say the past 6 days for this podcast has been phenomenal. We've had almost 100 views, like I said, and Logan said earlier in the podcast. In less than a week, I definitely know that in the grand scheme of things, it's very small, but it's very big to me, and I know it's very big to Logan. So thank you for listening. We have almost 50 followers on our Twitter account.
Not even a week,
right? Again, small numbers, but big to us. And then
I'm very humble about it. I mean, it's great.
Absolutely. And then
thank you guys.
Of course, we have 12 subscribers on YouTube. Again, Rome wasn't built in a week. Or was it wasn't built in a day?
Either or.
Yeah. we're
Oh.
gonna get there,
Oh man.
and the AAF brand, as
I have
Brad,
AAF breaking news here in a little bit when you get done. Sorry.
that's all good.
Big news.
As Brad Ward would say, it's all about the brand, baby.
Lord.
Shout out Brad Ward. I hope you listen to our show sometime.
Well, he listened to the first episode, at least for a little bit, and was live tweeting us 2 days later. It's all in good fun. But yeah. So Logan, what were you gonna say about your big news?
If you follow No Extra Points, they had just revealed just a little bit ago that Kenneth Farrow, running back of San Antonio, it did not practice Wednesday, and it's a situation to monitor. That could be big for the San Diego Fleet game. Kenneth Farrow against the Orlando Apollos had 13 carries for 74 yards, 5.7 yards a carry, and a touchdown. This could be a this could change things big time if he's out. I guess it would go to this backup, Aaron Green, if Kenneth Farrow cannot go. Could be a game changer.
Yeah, I would agree.
Still like the San Antonio Commanders to win, though.
Yeah. And you can follow us on Twitter at AAF Wednesday. And, of course, on YouTube, Wednesday night AAF podcast. Same thing with Twitter, Spotify, and iTunes. So, yeah. Thank you again, guys. And we will see you next week.
Oh, whoa. Now we have breaking news out of Arizona.
Jesus. What happened?
Wolford was limited with a knee injury. Josh Huff is sick. And Moloney, who did not practice with a knee injury, had 4 targets last game. So there's some injury bugs going on with the Arizona Hotshots.
Maybe Knight will be the one to lead us to victory.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining us, and please interact with us more on Twitter, because it's always fun when me and Logan do the live tweets, shoot live tweets of the games, and you guys are talking to us about it, and we had our own little side commentary. But yeah, thank you again.